The Ouya, stylized Ouya, is a microconsole running its own version of the Android operating system, developed by Ouya Incorporated. Julie Ullman founded the project in 2012. She brought in designer Eve Bar Copyright Har to collaborate on the design of the project, and Muffy Gadioli as product manager to put together the engineering team. Development was funded via Kickstarter, raising $8.5 million and becoming the website's second highest earning project in its history. Units started to ship to Kickstarter backers on March 28, 2013. The console was released to the general public on June 25, 2013, and features an exclusive Ouya store for applications and games designed specifically for the Ouya platform, of which the majority are casual games targeted at or used by a mass audience of casual gamers. Out of the box, Ouya supports media apps such as TwitchTV and XBMC Media Player. It runs a modified version of Android 4.1 Jelly Bean, and is open to rooting without voiding the warranty. The console's hardware design allows it to be easily opened up, requiring only a standard screwdriver for easy modding and possible hardware add-ons. All systems can be used as development kits, allowing any Ouya owner to also be a developer, without the need for licensing fees. All games are required to have some kind of free-to-play aspect, whether that be completely free, has a free trial, or has purchasable upgrades, levels, or other in-game items. The Ouya is classified as part of the 8th generation of video game consoles and as such is a rival competing against the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Wii U. History: Ouya was announced on July 3, 2012 as a new home video game console, led by the CEO of Boxer 8, Julie Ullman. On July 10, Ouya started a campaign to gauge how many people were interested in the project. Boxer 8 confirmed having a working prototype with in-progress software and user interface. Boxer 8 is expected to provide their own Ouya store for apps and games. The prototype and initially planned console will run on Android 4.1. It features an NVIDIA Tegra 3 chip and a price tag of $99. The Kickstarter fundraising goal was raised within 8 hours. Funding continued to increase as more models were made available at various funding levels. According to Kickstarter, in reaching its goal, Ouya holds the record for best first-day performance of any project hosted to date. Within the first 24 hours the project attracted one backer every 5.59 seconds. Ouya became the most quickly funded project on Kickstarter to reach $1 million, and went on to become the 8th project in Kickstarter history to raise more than $1 million. The Ouya Kickstarter page featured an introduction video, which explained various aspects of the console, showcased the process of designing of the 3" touchpad sporting controller, and gave viewers a glimpse of the motherboard. It also presented the first looks of the console's game store, showing several games from indie developers who had supported and shown interest in Ouya. On July 19, 2012, Robert Bowling, former creative strategist at Infinity Ward, announced in a blog post and through an update on the Ouya Kickstarter page that his newly formed studio Robotoki would be the first developer to commit to creating a game exclusively for the Ouya. The game will be an episodic prequel to Robotoki's Human Element, a post-zombie apocalyptic game scheduled for release in 2015. On July 31, 2012, Square Enix announced that Final Fantasy III would be made available as a launch title for Ouya. On August 7, 2012, the developers of XBMC announced a partnership with Ouya to bring XBMC to the Ouya. On August 8, 2012, it was announced that Namco Bandai was in discussions to bring their games to the system. The same day, Ouya also announced that Plex Media Center would be coming to the Ouya. On August 9, 2012, the Kickstarter finished with $8,596,475 at 904% of their goal. This made the Ouya Kickstarter the second highest earning in the website's history. On October 31, 2012, Boxer 8 announced that the first development run of Ouya PCBs, plastic prototype cases, and that they are in the engineering verification testing phase of production. Devids for the Ouya as well as the software development kit were planned for release before the end of 2012. On December 28, the console developers posted an unboxing video of one of the dev kits that were being shipped that day. Ouya units for Kickstarter funders started to ship on March 28, 2013. On June 25, 2013, the Ouya was released to the public for $99. On July 18, 2013, Ouya announced the Free the Games fund to support developers making games exclusively for their system. Ouya will match a Kickstarter's pledge dollar for dollar if a minimum of $50,000 is raised, but only if the game will be an Ouya exclusive for 6 months. On November 23, 2013, a limited edition white Ouya with double the storage of that to the original and new controller design was available for pre-order at $129. As of January 1, 2014, the limited edition white Ouya went off sale and cannot be found on the official store, nor any official resellers. On January 31, 2014, new black version of Ouya was released with double storage and new controller design. Future Aman has indicated that a new iteration of Ouya console will be made available in 2014. Other than featuring improved controllers, no firm decisions on choice of hardware have been made. Hardware. The Ouya is a 75mm cube designed to use with a TV as the display via an HDMI connection. It ships with a single wireless controller, but it can also support multiple controllers. Games are available via digital distribution, or can be side-loaded. Specifications, notes, iFergsit has a detailed step-by-step teardown of the console. Hardware video decode supported by experimental XBMC using Lobsterwrite. Controller. The Ouya controller is a typical gamepad with dual analog sticks, a directional pad, 4 face buttons and pairs of back bumpers and triggers. It also includes a single touchpad in the center of the controller. The Ouya controller also has magnetically attached face plates which enclose the 2 AA batteries, one on each side of the removable plates. Alternate controllers may be used with the console but only for compatible games. Reception. Pre-release. While initial reception of the Ouya was positive, raising $3.7 million on Kickstarter in the first 2 days, there were a number of vocal critics who were skeptical of the ability of the fledgling company to deliver a product at all. On July 12, 2012, PC magazine Sasha Segan ran an op-ed entitled, "Why Kickstarter's Ouya Looks Like a Scam," which was critical not only of the Ouya, but of all Kickstarter-funded hardware projects. Unreality magazine defended the Ouya, stating a scam implies some sort of intentionally illegal deceit. Tapping multiple investors from multiple sources isn't a unregistered trademark TA scam, unregistered trademark S not even illegal, unregistered trademark S business. Engadget reviewed the Kickstarter pre-release version of the Ouya on April 3, 2013. While praising the low cost and ease of hacking the console, it reported issues with controller buttons becoming stuck beneath the controller plating and the right analog stick snagging on the plating. It also reported a slight lag between the controller and the console and went on to say the controller was usable, but it's far from great. The Verge reported similar issues with the controller and questioned its construction quality. While they praised the hacking and openness of the console, calling it a device with lots of potential and few true limitations, the review was mostly negative and was critical of the interface and game launch choice and stated that Ouya isn't a viable gaming platform, or a good console, or even a nice TV interface. Retail reception. Tom's Hardware summarized early media reviews of the Ouya as lukewarm. Engadget reviewed the retail version of the Ouya, and noted a largely improved experience as compared to what they found with their pre-release unit. Improvements to the gamepad were huge, and they found that the UI has been cleaned up and sped up. Engadget concluded that their latest experience with the Android-based gaming device left them feeling optimistic, and that the company was taking customer feedback seriously. Digital Trends called the final retail console a device with a lot of potential built with love, and called the design a sleek and cool-looking cube filled with Gaminji goodness. The mostly positive review cited a lot of potential for the future, but was tempered by noting deficiencies in performance, and pointing out that the Ouya won't be able to compete with the big three console markers on performance, but must rely on carving out a niche in the market. Extreme Tech found that Ouya has a number of serious faults. They mentioned the subpar controller, the connectivity issues, games which worked flawlessly on smartphones but stuttered on the console. Also, they remarked that they're just Arena Euro unregistered trademark T enough worthwhile games to play. Sales. Market analyst NPD Group described Ouya sales in its first month as relatively light, while several outlets noted low sales of games on the service in initial reports from developers. Free the Games Fund. In July 2013, Ouya announced the Free the Games Fund, a scheme to help fund developers, where Ouya would match any Kickstarter if a minimum target of $50,000 was reached, and provided the game remains Ouya exclusive for 6 months. Suspicions were raised concerning the first 2 games to reach the target. Commentators noticed the small number of backers each pledging a high-value amount, the large number of those who had never backed a project before, as well as the use of duplicate names and avatars that included those of celebrities. This led some to suggest that the projects were artificially inflating their project's backing in order to receive extra money from Ouya. In addition, one project had a backer whose identity appeared to be taken from that of a missing persons case. Nevertheless, Ouya rejected any suspicion regarding the backing of the projects, and planned to continue with providing funding. In September 2013, funding for one of the games that had been fully funded, Elementary, My Dear Homes, was suspended by Kickstarter. The developers of the other funded game, Gridiron Thunder, threatened litigation against a commenter on the Kickstarter page, and further dismissed concerns that they would have no rights to official NFL branding, a license currently held by Electronic Arts. In the same month, another project caused controversy by openly stating that a relative of one developer had provided substantial additional backing in order to have the project qualify for money from the Free the Games Fund. The project was removed by Ouya from the Free the Games Fund, resulting in the developers removing the project from Kickstarter. Many developers criticized the fund's rules. Sophie Holden removed her game, Rose and Time, from the Ouya marketplace. Matt Gilgenbach, who was trying to finance his game Never-Ending Nightmares with help from the fund, said, "It would kill me if due to other projects abusing the Free the Games Fund, people lost confidence in our project and what we are trying to do. While I believe in the idea of the Free the Games Fund, I think it definitely could use some reform in light of the potential avenues for abuse." Eventually, Ouya accepted this criticism. Developers were telling us over and over, Ouya Euro unregistered trademark re being too idealistic, and Ouya Euro unregistered trademark re being too naive. That was the part that personally took me a while to understand. Ouya changed the fund rules, including adding $1 per backer limit. Holden put her game back on the store, and Never-Ending Nightmares qualified for funding under the new rules. On September 18, 2013, Ouya modified the exclusivity clause of the fund. Developers will still no longer be able to release their software on mobile devices, video game consoles, and set-top boxes during the 6-month exclusivity period, but they will be allowed to release on other personal computer systems, such as Windows, Mac OS X, and Linux, during that time. See also: Free-to-play, homebrew, independent video game development, list of Ouya software, list of on-live video games, open source video game, references. External links, official website, official forums, SXSW Interactive 2013, Julie Uman and Josh Topolsky keynote.